Welcome to the Cyber Guy Podcast, your source for trends with retired FBI Special Agent Darren Mott.
Hello, friends. Welcome to another Micropod version of the Cyber Guy Podcast. I'm your host, retired FBI Supervisory Special Agent Darren Mott. And I want to thank Corey Munson on LinkedIn for alerting me to this particular news item that made me want to do this quick little podcast to talk about something that's been a issue for me since it was ever created, and that is the Cyber Safety Review Board. Now, if you remember, when in 2021, there was an executive order, again, some kind of strategy that came out from the White House, and one of the things that it created in it was the Cyber Safety Review Board, which was supposed to duplicate what the National Transportation Safety Board does, but from a cyber perspective. Well, needless to say, it hasn't exactly worked out. So this article was directed to me. Corey tagged me in it because he knows where I sit on this kind of thing. So I wanted to bring it here just to kind of talk about it for a couple minutes. So let me bring ordered a board to probe a massive Russian cyber attack. It never happened. Well, color me shocked. And thank you for Craig Silverman. He's the reporter on this, so thumbs up to him. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can certainly go find it if you want. You can see it, and I'll post it in LinkedIn if you need to look at it. But after Russian intelligence launched one of the most devastating cyber espionage attacks in history against U.S. government agencies, the Biden administration set up a new board and tasked it to figure out what happened and tell the public. State hackers had infiltrated SolarWinds, an American software company that serves the U.S. government and thousands of American companies, so on and so on and so forth. The president issued an executive order establishing the Cyber Safety Review Board in May of 2021, ordered it to start work by reviewing the SolarWinds attack. But for reasons the experts say remain unclear, great experts, I can tell you why it's unclear, that never happened. It's because somebody donated money and said, we really don't want to do this one, right? So, and nor did the report. For its third report, the board investigated a separate 2023 attack in which Chinese state hackers exploited an array of Microsoft security shortcomings. Now, my question is, have we seen that? Have we seen that Chinese report? Maybe we haven't. If I've missed it, feel free to direct it to me. I'd be happy to read it. But needless to say, this has really not worked out. And this is focused mostly on the SolarWinds attack. But my argument is, if they've only done 3 reports since 2021, is now 2024, so they're averaging 1 a year, you're telling me there have been no other cyber incidents that would warrant their particular use? But okay, so let's read more from this article. Again, I'm just kind of skipping around here. And here's the key, right? This is supposed to be an independent board with all sorts of cybersecurity experts from the private and the public sector working together, which is what we want. We've been talking about it for years. However, not independent. It's housed in the Department of Homeland Security. Problem number 1, but that's a different podcast. Rob Silvers, the board chair, is a Homeland Security undersecretary. Its vice chair is a top security executive at Google. Okay, there you go. Public-private partnership, yippee-ki-yay. The board does not have a full-time staff, subpoena power, or dedicated funding. So how does it do anything? It can't. It honestly can't do anything. Silvers told ProPublica that DHS decided the board didn't need to do its own review of SolarWinds as directed by the White House because the attack had already been closely studied by the public and private sectors. And sure, we sure know a lot about it, but it would still be good to get some more information on how that went in, but whatever. So let's go down here a little more. So by declining to review SolarWinds, the board failed to discover the central role that Microsoft's weak security culture played in the attacks. And this, a lot of different intrusions, but again, maybe a different podcast. It's possible, quote, the most recent hack could have been prevented by real oversight. Now, this is from Senator Ron Wyden, a Democratic member of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, blah, blah, blah. And here's the thing. Here's my thing with when anytime there's some kind of big intrusion, there's all sorts of politicians that come out to talk about it. They don't know what they're talking about, let's be honest, but whatever. Okay, he sees it as a problem. Great for him. In past statements, Microsoft did not dispute the whistleblower's account. This has to do with how bad Microsoft's security was, and this should not be a surprise, right? I did on my cybersecurity morning news update that I did last week, which you can find on all your favorite podcast platforms. I talked about the top 10 cybersecurity companies in the country, as noted by this particular article. 6 of them has had intrusions. So companies are just as lax from a cybersecurity perspective as about anything. And actually, there was a line in here I wanted to note if I can find it, because it had to do with Microsoft's culture as it pertains to cybersecurity. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Sorry, I should have been better prepared for this, but hey, this is a quick pop-up Micropod, so you get what you pay for, right? Anyway, somewhere in here, they talk about how Microsoft just has poor cybersecurity culture because they're focused. And I think this is the whistleblower's report. They're focused on profits. Most companies are, so we're not surprised. But my point being to pop in here and talk to you all on this was simply to note that the Cyber Safety Review Board is a huge failure. It doesn't do what it's supposed to do. It doesn't protect anyone. I don't know anybody who's been protected by any reports that came out of it. So is it perfect? No. Is it working effectively? No, of course not. It's a government entity at the end of the day. If we want this to work, you need to actually hire investigators who know how to investigate cases and do those kind of things. There's plenty of retired FBI agents that would probably be willing to do that and do that to better support the country, to save this. So companies around the country don't get hacked because they're aware of the threats targeting them. They know how they do what they do, and they can kind of stop that thing. And so with that, I'm 6 minutes into this. This is much longer than I probably wanted it to be, probably much longer than you cared for it to be. But with that, I thank you so much for taking the time. If you did listen or watch, because I actually did a video version of this that I recorded. I'll have that on my LinkedIn profile, have it on my YouTube channel. Tonight, I did this on Tuesday podcast. We'll talk to Matt Lee of Pax8 about how businesses need to protect themselves from the cyber threats out there. So with that, know that knowledge is protection. If we can understand the threats targeting us, we can assess our risk, proceed wisely. Thanks for popping in and listen. If you have thoughts, comments, email me, Darren@thecyberguy.com, or find me on LinkedIn. I look forward to it. Thanks again.